Alright then, different change of scenery again. I'm at my mum's house today. Welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. We're going to be taking a look at a striker comparison video. I've wanted to do like a Batshuayi, Giroud, Tammy Abraham video so that I can basically break down some of the goal scoring statistics, talk about some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses of our strikers, and then decide who is my first choice striker. Obviously, you guys have known that I've got like a little bias towards Batshuayi, and maybe I've got like a little bias against Olivier Giroud because I don't think he can finish 90 minutes of football. But today, I'm going to consolidate that and also compare him to a striker that we've got to be a little bit fearful of at the weekend. Teemu Pukki, the Norwich striker. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Norwich have got the top scorer in the Premier League. And quite frankly, if he was at our club, maybe Teemu Pukki would be our first choice striker. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. We're going to go through a couple of things about each striker at Chelsea, and then we're going to compare them to Norwich City's main man up top, Teemu Pukki. So first one, we're going to go with the batsman, the man who's not had a sniff yet in the Premier League with Frank Lampard as the manager. He wasn't on the bench against Man United. He wasn't on the bench against Leicester City. Now, as you can see on the screen right now, I've made yet again another little funny George Benson graphic. It's what you can come to expect on this channel now. I do this all myself, so this is basically what we've got. He's a clinical finisher. He's very good at holding up the ball. At times in pre-season, we saw a first touch of Michy Batshuayi that we weren't always necessarily too fond of. His first touch has never been one of the stronger elements of his game, but during pre-season, when he was given the minutes, when he was given the opportunity by Frank Lampard as Chelsea manager, there were certainly improvements in that field, and when he does hold up the ball, he's strong, he can put his back into defenders, which in turn enables him to draw potentially the likes of Christian Pulisic, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Mason Mount, whoever it is playing in that three behind the lone striker. That is something Michy Batshuayi could do to great effect. Let's take a look at his Chelsea statistics. He's played 1,772 minutes of competitive football, scoring 19 goals, which is a goal every 93 minutes, which, if you think about it, it's not the worst statistics for a man that we can always say has never really had a shot at Chelsea. He's never been given that many games in a row. It's often been minutes off the bench or minutes out on loan, but those are his minutes at Chelsea. And then we've got 1,169 minutes at Dortmund with 9 goals and a goal every 129 minutes. Compared to a lot of other strikers, and like you're going to see in today's video, Michy Batshuayi's goal to minute ratio is actually very good. So the one thing that I can understand from what I've heard about why Michy Batshuayi is currently very clearly the third choice striker out of a possible 3 at Chelsea, when the other 2 aren't really giving us all of the reasons in the world to understand this right now. The reason that's been given is that Michy Batshuayi is very difficult to tell what to do from a strategic standpoint and then see him reciprocate the actions on the field. I think Michy's got his own ideas as to how he wants to play, what he wants to do, what he thinks his strengths are, and then there's Frank Lampard, who's clearly got a vision and a way he wants to play, and tactically it seems as though Michy may well be slightly more inept than Tammy or Olivier Giroud at implementing exactly what the instruction is from the manager. This, of course, when you're looking to build upon something that we saw last season under Maurizio Sarri. The whole Sarri ball thing didn't quite come off, but in terms of playing that nice, fluid, passing, attacking football, it's something that we can see Frank building upon. Michy Batshuayi, is he going to be the man for that role? We're yet to find out. The guy's not been given any minutes. I mentioned it in the video yesterday. He definitely deserves at least something in order to move forward for Chelsea. Still recovering from Sunday afternoon. We've also got to bear in mind the age of Michy Batshuayi. He's 25 years old. He signed for Chelsea a few years ago for a big fee. There was a lot of promise, comparisons being made to Didier Drogba. And I think if you look at Michy, and then we're going to go into Tammy and Olivier Giroud, when you think about it, Didier Drogba is kind of a mixture of all of the qualities that all 3 of these players have individually put together, which is why Didier Drogba was such a perfect striker for Chelsea. And in essence, you could also say Diego Costa was also a perfect striker for Chelsea. He had all of the individual qualities that Michy, Tammy and Olivier had all together in one player. So this whole question as to who it should be was never really in existence. But now we've got 3 players who have each got different qualities and attributes that benefit the team. But in terms of being that complete striker, we're still searching for it. So then, striker number 2 at Chelsea, we're going to talk about Tammy Abraham, Chelsea's young boy who's come through the academy. He's had a couple of very successful loan spells in the Championship and then a not so successful loan spell in the Premier League with Swansea City. City. If we take a look at his record at Aston Villa last season, 3,450 minutes of football, 26 goals, equating to a goal every 132 minutes. It's not bad. He got a goal in the playoffs as well. If it wasn't for the man in question that we're talking about in this video, Teemu Pukki, Tammy Abraham might have found himself in another season winning the Golden Boot. Obviously, there's 46 matches in the Championship, there's 38 in the Premier League, and in the Premier League, you're playing against some of the best opposition in the world week in, week out. So it's much harder to rack up numbers like that unless you're the likes of Mo Salah, Thierry Henry, Didier Drogba on the odd occasion, and also Chelsea's manager Frank Lampard, who managed 20 goals plus a season from midfield, which is pretty ridiculous. Tammy Abraham, 26 goals in 40 games. One would say too good for the Championship. However, when he did play in the Premier League in 2017-2018 at Swansea, he only managed 5 goals all season. At his age, you can obviously argue that 2 years younger, when you're coming out of your teens into your early 20s, those are the years where you finally mature yourself as a man, you grow, you get stronger, and obviously Tammy Abraham, with his first chance in the Premier League, it wasn't for the greatest club. Swansea weren't a team at that point who were playing as good football as they had been years before. They weren't creating as many opportunities as they were in previous seasons. Swansea used to be a great attacking team, but it was kind of on the decline by the time Tammy Abraham was called in up front. So when it comes to Tammy's record in the Premier League for Swansea, it was a goal every 343 minutes, which isn't great, and that's never going to cut it as Chelsea's #1 striker. But obviously at Chelsea, we've been calling for the youth to be coming through, to be given opportunities for so long. Now with Frank Lampard as the manager, Tammy Abraham's obviously got the confidence because Frank has the confidence in him in order to lead the line. He's been given the #9 shirt. The #9 shirt at Chelsea over the years has been nothing but a curse. You look at Matthias Kezman, you look at Fernando Torres, who I'd arguably say didn't have as bad a career as people said at Chelsea, but Tammy Abraham's been given the #9. It's a massive role. It's got so many positive connotations for strikers in Premier League history, but at Chelsea, it's always been a bit of a nemesis shirt. My throat is so bad, I apologise. So Frank probably sees him as a more tactically pliable, which I just love the word pliable. It's like if you can bend a piece of metal, it's a class word. Tammy is more of a tactically pliable striker than Michy Batshuayi. From what we can understand, Michy is struggling to implement Frank's tactical strategy. Tammy, he's obviously got a bit more faith in him. He's given him the #9. We've already established that. So in order for Frank to be able to find what his strongest Chelsea team is, using the strikers he does have to the best of their abilities within a system, it looks as though Tammy has already got the nod ahead of Michy in that sense. The question I've got though is Tammy Abraham ready for the pressure that comes with being Chelsea's main striker? I've already mentioned Didier Drogba and Diego Costa in these videos as the perfect example of what I'd consider to be, as a fan, a perfect striker to have at your club. If you're playing against the big teams, both of them knew how to rile the defenders, how to wind them up, how to get a red card out of someone from the other team, which is just a skill in itself. Whether it's right or wrong about Diego Costa or Didier Drogba, they knew how to get under the skin of the defenders. And I think when I look at Tammy, he's got that aggression. He could have that potential to be able to unlock this different mental, psychological element of his game where he can have that impact on defenders, something that I'm not sure I see in Michy Batshuayi, and I also don't really think I see it in Olivier Giroud. So I think, again, it could be another positive for Tammy. But right now, is he ready for the pressure that comes with being Chelsea's main man, where we demand European football at the end of every season, where we want to have a good run in the Cups, and where we want to be challenging? Is Tammy going to score enough goals in the Premier League? It's still up for debate, but again, we've got to give him the chance. So let's take a look at the third striker at Chelsea, and the one at the moment, according to various Twitter polls that I've posted, is the #1 man that Chelsea want to see lead the line amongst the fan base at least. Olivier Giroud, 12,795 Premier League minutes, 78 Premier League goals, 1 goal every 164 minutes of football. I wanted to obviously point out his Europa League stats last season for Chelsea because they were absolutely brilliant and one of the main reasons why we won the Europa League. 1,125 minutes of Europa League football, 11 goals, a goal just over 100 minutes every single time, 102 minutes. Incredible stats from Giroud in the Europa League, but is he a striker who's going to play 90 minutes week in, week out for 38 games for Chelsea in the Premier League? League? I'm not entirely sure he is. If we look at some of his best seasons at Arsenal, he signed in 2012, he got 11 goals in 34 games in his first season, 16 in 36, 14 in 27, 16 in 38, 12 in 29, and then just 4 in the 16 appearances he made in the 17-18 season before transferring across to Chelsea. Since signing for Chelsea, the Premier League goal return has gone down a lot. He's obviously done a great job for us in the Europa League and also in the FA Cup. He got a semi-final goal against Southampton, and if you look at Olivier Giroud's striking career at Chelsea, I'd consider it a massive success in comparison to many other strikers that we have had. The biggest question for me, and it comes back to what I've put on the screen right now, is Olivier Giroud able to do it week in, week out for 90 minutes every single game? He's definitely the best striker we've got at linking the play between the wingers. You've got the likes of Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi to come back. You've got Loftus-Cheek to come back. Olivier Giroud was very good at linking up with Hazard, and I can certainly see him doing that again with some of the new younger wingers that we've got coming through at Chelsea. So as a link-up striker, I think he's definitely the best option. He's great in the air. I've said this countless times before. He's got the best heel in football, in my opinion. We saw it at times again against Leicester. Who do I think is going to be Chelsea's number one striker? Who do I think should be the starting striker? Let's wait until we've looked at the person we're playing against this weekend, Teemu Pukki. Let's take a look at the player profile of Teemu Pukki. Last season in the Championship, 29 goals in 3,828 minutes, a goal every 132 minutes. And if we take a look at the total contributions from Teemu Pukki last season, he contributed 40 goals for Norwich and was a massive reason as to why they got promoted into the Premier League. If you do a direct translation in Finnish to what Pukki actually means, I found this out yesterday from Squawka on Twitter, it basically means goat. And I'm pretty sure if Pukki scores 20 plus goals a season and Norwich stay up this year, Norwich fans will be calling him the greatest of all time as well. So that's just a fun little fact for those of you that didn't know it. He's in everyone's fantasy team now after scoring a hat-trick against Newcastle. He's played 2 games in the Premier League, one of which was against the best defence in the league last season, Liverpool, at Anfield. 2 games, 4 goals, 10 shots, 7 of which on target, a 70% shot accuracy, and 4 goals in 2 games, level with Raheem Sterling currently for the Golden Boot. Let's not get too carried away with ourselves. It is only 2 games into the season, and one of those matches, he scored a hat-trick against a team that will probably be relegated come the end of this season, and it's not looking good for Newcastle right now, is it? Interestingly with Pukki though, he's not always been as clinical and as big of a goal scorer as he has been since he signed for Norwich, although he has scored with his first shot on target in each of the last 8 seasons, which is again a pretty crazy stat, and there's a reason why everybody all of a sudden is talking about Teemu Pukki. Norwich, I thought were going to struggle, and that was because I didn't quite think that this man up front would be able to kick it off the way he has in the Championship and the way he did at Bromby in his first season in the Premier League. But anyone doubting that is pretty crazy. We've seen like one season wonders before, like remember Michy at Swansea. Remember Amir Zaki had a good little run at Wigan a few years ago and then just came to nothing. But with Pukki, as his career's gone on, he's probably in the prime of his career right now. His goal scoring records have got better. He went to Celtic, it wasn't great. He played at Bromby, he was scoring a lot more goals there. Obviously in the Championship, he scored more than Tammy Abraham, who's a striker that we're considering at Chelsea. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because I wanted to ask the question to the Chelsea fans that follow this channel: would you rather have Teemu Pukki as your striker at Chelsea than any of the 3 that we've already been through in this video? It's a crazy question to ask really, and I personally wouldn't, because I do think one of our strikers is going to come good in the long run, but it's certainly somebody who we need to be seriously worried about when we go to Carrow Road on Saturday lunchtime. He was very good against Liverpool, not just the way he took the goal, it was a beautiful finish past Adrian into the bottom corner, but against Newcastle, he was a nightmare for that Newcastle defence, which yes, arguably, we might be talking about a Championship standard defence where we saw him bagging a ton of goals last season. A hat-trick in his first game at Carrow Road in the Premier League, and then you take what has been at times a leaky Chelsea defence for match number 2, it's an early kickoff, it's on TV. If you add all of those little hypothetical things together, it is a recipe for a very torrid afternoon for Chelsea come that game against Norwich. So I guess there's a few things that I need to wrap up as we come to a conclusion within this video. The first one is who starts for me for Chelsea against Norwich this weekend. If we think that there's not going to be any injuries, I'm going to give Michy Batshuayi the start. I think that we've started Tammy, we've started Giroud. Match number 3, give Michy Batshuayi the shot. If he doesn't take it, great. We can take him out and put our new number 9, Tammy Abraham, in, or probably the best option at the moment, Olivier Giroud. I think that the argument as to who the best Chelsea striker is right now, it could go on all day. And I think if we talk about being proven, it's Olivier Giroud. We talk about the man who seems to have the faith of Chelsea Football Club and the manager, it's Tammy. We talk about the man with the best minutes to goal ratio and a man who's not been given a chance, it's Michy. And I think for a game against Norwich where if Chelsea can start well, the way we did against Leicester, if we can have this press that we've seen in the early stages of games from Frank Lampard, as Michy Batshuayi is probably the most clinical finisher of the 3 strikers, I think that we could be looking at scoring those early goals, which gives us that comfortable edge going forward within the game where we're not so worried about teams coming at us when the intensity drops. I think Michy Batshuayi as a finisher is perfect for this kind of game against Norwich where we can go there early with that intensity, shock them, get Michy in front of goal with 4 or 5 chances, and maybe he can stick 2 or 3. I mean, I'm talking a bit of nonsense now, aren't I, really? But he can stick a couple of them in the back of the net, and I back him as a finisher to do so. As for would I take Teemu Pukki at Chelsea, I think yes, I would take him at Chelsea, but he's a Norwich player. The transfer window is closed. We're not looking at that as any kind of consideration right now. I want to see Norwich do well, if I'm honest, because I think they play some nice football, and looking at this man on the screen, he's a bit of a monster, and I feel as though if he can carry on this form, hopefully not on Saturday lunchtime, but Norwich could well be proving my Premier League predictions wrong and staying in the Premier League. It's certainly a game where we're going to have to be on our guard. We're going to have to watch out for Pukki, and it's going to be interesting to see how our defensive partnership of probably Zuma and Christensen. Rudiger played 90 for the development squad. Don't expect him to come straight into the first team this weekend. Maybe he does. As we get closer to that match on Saturday, I'm going to be doing my match preview on Friday evening against Norwich. But that has been my little comparison of all 3 strikers, looking at stats, looking at their qualities. Pukki's a great striker, and I'm worried about facing him on Saturday. Who starts for Chelsea? It's yet to be seen, but I'd give him my opinion. I'd give it to Michy on Saturday. Let me know who you would start up front for Chelsea this weekend. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like. I apologise, my voice has been a little bit croaky today. Still recovering from shouting and screaming against Leicester on Sunday afternoon. It's just what you do. I will catch you all later. Goodbye.